There's one. There's two. Oh, I got to re-add him to the
Yeah,
screen.
thanks.
I
Thanks
didn't
for
take you
letting
out
me
of
into
it.
my own show.
I didn't take it out of it. When you did your camera thing, it like dropped you out, and I didn't realize.
Thank
I
you for
thought you were
letting me
just like,
back into my own show.
You're welcome. We're starting this show off good.
Fantastic. It's a perfect
Everybody's like, oh no, it's the last show ever. They're going to argue and blow up on the air.
This isn't that other show.
No, this isn't that show where, that kind of thing happens.
Let's talk about that. Rebranding.
Behold.
The rebranding. It's the exact same thing.
It
literally was the exact same thing.
It still is.
What's up? Welcome, as always, Solomon, Spider. You know what it is? It's the 2021 year, 2022.
What year are we again? I don't know.
I know. It's all a mess. It's a 2022 year in review. You're in under scope. I don't know. You're under the video scope. Yeah, it's the thing about it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't do this there.
And we've already got, I believe, Elizabeth Wittenberry in the chat.
How much longer do we have to do this for?
Do the what for?
The rest of the show. How long is left?
Oh, well, since we just started, we could just cut it right now. We'll just put the
Let's just move it out.
It's good enough. Let's send it.
Time to get out of here.
Send it out.
Cheers. Cheers, Elizabeth. Welcome on in. We're just going to do this pretty much most of the show, so I hope you're ready for that.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun this year, even though we're still getting caught up. I think this was the last year that we needed to get caught up on everything. And I think next year we're ready to actually do all of our trips. We're ready to do all of our everything. All right.
I don't know what's in everything.
I mean, we got multiple channels and multiple stuff. You got the gaming channels.
No, we have since branched out on the network from just a show, and a show that was on Spreaker, which has now moved to YouTube, so you can see our fine faces every week on your FM dial on the video scoop. We also have a Twitch channel going crazy right now. Mine's going nuts. Mm-hmm. And we have a drinking channel that my co-host damages his liver on. So yay, damage your liver day. Woo!
That experiment that I have set up is coming along really good. Like, it's dramatically looking good. So looking forward to that.
We'll be doing
probably within the next couple of weeks. I need another payday, which will probably be in another week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we should be set, and then we'll do that. And we have to do that because I already did. That's episode 50. But I also already recorded episode 51, and it's going to automatically play in February. So if we don't do episode 50, it's going to mess the whole thing up.
Do not mess up.
So we got to episode 50.
Because I will not be here January 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, all that jazz. So that one here, he's got to take over the reins.
Uh-oh. Once again, giant spider invasion.
Hopefully you don't feel like you're on death's door.
No, last time I was pretty rough. This time I should be better.
Not going to lie, though, that death would have catapulted the show's success. So nice job not doing that.
Yeah. I would...
nice job not dying on air.
That's usually how that works, right? The 12th, around the 12th. The 12th, right?
Let me see what I got. Let me look at my... Only thing I gotta do is work. Yeah, but I worked the day before. Let me see. We just check our calendars. This is the rest of the show. We just check our calendars.
Our address books and our
Blackberries.
Books. Type on the handy keyboard.
Yeah, the 12th would be perfect, actually.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
Yeah, so the 12th is the episode 50 of the Uncanny Spirits Club, which we will be trying some moonshine and some moonshine that I have turned into bourbon, hopefully.
Them boys gonna be drunk. Are we gonna try to do a show too, or no?
We could. I mean, I don't intend to go through both of those bottles, but
Well, you know how we do.
I started early today. It was a day. It was a day. I'll
He
say
he
that.
had he had the kids knocking at the door.
Not on my door, but it
At
was a
his
day.
door.
It was a day.
I bet. It's a day every day because you always drink every day.
I usually wait until the evening, till at least after happy hour.
I don't have an hour. I just drink.
I usually wait, but today I started a little early because I was like, it's been a day. It's been a day.
You did that perfectly. Segway.
Dun, dun, just like a scooter.
it's just like a mini mile. Hey, don't stop. It's just like a mini mile.
But yeah, that'll be episode 50.
And where do I have it? I know I have it. Do I have it? Oh, I don't have a picture of it. I do. I'd have to reach over there and grab it.
You do, but you don't with the do with the don't.
Oh, okay. I'll just be like. So we're gonna be doing a stream tomorrow for New Year's Eve. You New Year's Eve heathens. We're gonna be streaming Stranger of Paradise. Yes,
Ooh.
the Final Fantasy One
origin
prequel.
story.
Yeah. Basically, I already know. I already have an idea of what I think it is.
Well, yeah, because once you've been through Final Fantasy 1, you know who the villain is and all that other stuff. So you can retroactively apply that.
Yeah.
But let me know if it's any good.
I will 100%. I got a physical copy, so.
Because I liked 1. I started with 1.
So did I.
I didn't have.
Market.
I didn't have
15.
Game Boy and I didn't have Super Nintendo, so I couldn't play any of the other ones that came after. I skipped from 1, and then eventually, when we got a PlayStation 1, I got Final Fantasy 7. So, but 1 was difficult enough.
I went 1, then, like you, 7, then 8, 9, 10, 12, because 11 was an online game. I never bought that one.
It was 14, wasn't it? Wasn't 14 the online one?
11 and 14 were both online.
Oh, they both. All right.
11 shut down service, but 14 is the one that's still going strong.
Yeah.
12, which was trash. 13 was garbage. 15 was okay. 15 wasn't bad. And between then, I beat 4, 9. Because I had 9, and I got really far to the end, and there's a tree. And there's a dragon that you fight before you go into the tree, because Final Fantasy, it's always about trees. And I couldn't beat it for some reason. And I was like, I'm not playing this game. That game came out in like 99. I was 19, 20. So I was like, I don't know if I play anymore. So that's that. What are we doing for 2023?
Ooh, what are we doing?
Besides episode 50 of Spirits Club, and we should be, what episode are we on now of this show?
Well, we've had several specials in a row. We had like the 2 holiday specials, which is this one and the one before. So this
is a holiday special.
Yeah, okay. That's why it doesn't have a number to it.
Where are we at? What number are we
let me take a peek. We were at least, I think, like 216 or 217. So let me pull up the channel, because technology is great. Let's see. View channel.
So we won't hit 300 by year's end. Yeah, we'll do something for 250.
Yeah, 217 will be the next actual episode of the new year. 217.
20 plus 30. So it's like 33. It's like 33 weeks. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Almost 9 months. So 9 months. 8 months. 8 months in a week. So that puts us roughly at what? July? I want to say July. Let me make sure I'm doing my math right. My brain's August. I was off by a month.
Yeah, probably August, because if we're December, then yeah, it'd be August.
August. So August will be our 250th episode. So.
Weather should be good, so it'll be a good time to hang out, do a live place someplace. We should probably try to go someplace.
We should go someplace.
And do an on-location kind of thing.
Go to somebody's house. Should go to Mike's house.
Wassailing. Wait, it's not even
We
Christmas.
should go to
Well, I
Mike's
don't
house.
care. Wassail.
We should go to Mike's house.
Yeah. In lovely Ohio, where I live as well, and where you live.
I do. Thank
We'll
you.
just do a tour of Ohio.
We could totally do an Ohioan tour.
We do need to go to the Serpent Mound one of these days as
Which I've
part of the
been.
show. He's been, and I haven't, and I would love to go. It's just a bit of a distance, so it takes some time, some
Listen,
planning.
it's not as. I'll say this: it's awesome to go there, but you be like you be in the car ramped up, like it's gonna be great, and then when you get there, you're like, this is very anticlimactic.
Yeah, I've seen all the video about it, and I know, and I kind of, it's one of those things where you have to be like really into it
Yes,
to continue to be excited once you get there. And I
which
know
I
that
was,
the way that,
because it's dope seeing it.
Yeah.
But like you see it from the air, right?
yeah,
Then you get there and you're like, where is it? Then you're like, well, climb on this rickety scaffolding.
and they've kind of like, haven't they done things to prevent people from actually getting up close with a lot of it? Like you can't actually
Yeah, I don't think you
do
can
as
fly a
much as-
drone over it unless you're like authorized to do so, and that's a
Yeah.
whole thing. But
like
yeah,
they
so,
wouldn't
like-
even leave. They wouldn't even let Graham Hancock look at it. Like they locked him out. They were like, "No, you can't."
why though? That
I don't know,
sounds
for
scary.
his show, like because in that special,
that's why.
he went there and they were like, "No, we don't want you putting it on the show. You can't go up there." So they made him stay out. Like he could only get aerial shots. He couldn't actually go up to it for any reason because they didn't like how he was promoting it and things and what he was doing for the show. So it's,
I mean, listen,
know,
if you want to have an unbiased thing with it, and I get it, because when you say his name, controversy swirls around him. So I get it. I understand that. Would I have liked to have seen it? Yeah, but I get why they didn't let him. Because, mainstream archaeology, which is a thing. I was reading today or yesterday. I happened to catch a Twitter article about giants, and some Sarah P or Sarah B was like, I am an archaeologist across 5 continents and I've dug. And I'm like, she's like, giants didn't exist. I'm like, you have zero idea what you are talking
she's really
about.
leaning on the B part, huh?
Or P. But not that one either.
I'll just drown that out.
Rhymes with Rick. All right. Rhymes with Rick.
Let me just drown that out.
But yeah, so I just shook my head, like, and of course everybody rushed to her defense, like, oh, you're so right. These armchair thought book on Amazon. I'm like, I bought one of those books off of Amazon. It's been vetted. It's one of the main ones, and the Smithsonian has gone on record and been like, yeah, but then they were like, nah, and people have gone on record and said, look, it happened. The Smithsonian came in, bought all of our bones, bought all the any sort of Native American documentation, and you're talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about. So Sarah B, that's done 5 continents. You could have just not wasted your money and stayed home in this continent, you goofus.
And the thing about it is, we put all this great stock in people who are supposed to be quote unquote experts.
I don't.
And sure, if you went to school, you learned a bunch of stuff, you stuck it in your brain, and that's fine for a single moment in time that you learned that stuff for where the knowledge was there. But people nowadays, like, people learn the same way they used to, like, with the exception of like the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages nobody could read because everybody's focused on.
First of all, the Earth wasn't flat. But listen, if you live in the Dark Ages, that's the only acceptable time. So if somehow you have managed to come to this current timeline, okay, and you're from the Dark Ages, and somebody has set up a way for you to get on the internet, then you are the only person that is allowed to have the opinion of the Earth is flat. That's it. I will entertain you because you are from the Dark Ages. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
The way people used to learn.
If the big reveal for next season is you say you're a flat earther,
No,
And
no,
then we
no.
cut the show. Oh,
The show's canceled forever. But people used to learn in two ways in ancient times. One, they went to a person who said they knew a lot about a topic. If somebody who was one of those people actually knew what they were talking about,
I'm childish.
they would also usually say, here's what I read, here's what I looked at, you do the same thing. And that's how people learned. They didn't just take the word of somebody. That came later when like the Inquisition and the church came through and like, no, 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 no. We read the Latin, we talk the Latin. You don't know nothing. You listen to what we tell you.
Yeah.
And nowadays, in modern times, we have all the ways to research that people in the most enlightened points of the ancient days did. We can go on the internet. We can go on all these places. We have so many ways that we can learn without having to go to a person.
To be fair, though,
yes, there is a lot of like garbage out there.
Well, the
Yes.
internet is controlled, though.
Yes.
And
But at
throttled.
least the capacity is there. You can go to a bookstore, you can go to a library, you can go to these places. You can learn on your own, just like people used to. But instead, people are like, let me turn on the news and see what Doc so-and-so is saying. Doc F will say today. Oh, he says this. Oh, that's true because he's a doc. He's this guy. He knows what he's talking about. I don't got to research anything because he told me it. And that's what people do. But that's not how we used to learn. People used to learn. You'd go to a place, a temple or wherever, and the people used to be, oh, yeah, I know a lot about this subject, but this is where I found it from.
And sometimes those people in that temple were high on drugs.
That too.
But
at least they showed you where, like, what they read to learn what they learned.
Or
like,
showed you what they did to get to that point.
So, I mean, you learned something. You didn't just have to take their word for it. But now it's just like, oh, expert A says this. Expert B doesn't agree. Well, forget expert B. He doesn't know enough.
And we live in a country, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But you could have been like, oh, now you want to get serious after your silliness. I was the minister of silly walks. I apologize there for a second. There we go. And I don't even watch that show, so even I know what that is. Anyways, we live in an era that if you have a difference of opinion from the masses, you are ostracized. Doesn't matter right or wrong, you're ostracized. Oh, I don't believe in this. Oh, you're ostracized.
You're an extremist. You're a fringe.
Or I'm for this. Oh, you're ostracized. You know, or you're ostracized. Whatever. I don't know. But the thing is we live in a society where everybody's afraid to speak the truth, not your truth, which is something you may make up in your own brain, right? But the truth. There's only the truth. There isn't your truth. There isn't her truth. There isn't
you can't go out and be like, I'm speaking my truth. No, you're not. You're just speaking what you believe. A lie. The truth is the truth, and it doesn't change for anybody.
But I also think that as society has progressed, we've regressed. So I feel like there was I think this was on the same thing on Graham Hancock's thing, or it was somebody that was talking, and they said that they did it was a Mayan calendar of sorts, and it was in a pyramid, and each successive one, the society got more intelligent, right? So at the bottom you have the big one where it's nobody's intelligent. Well, people are intelligent, but they don't have the wherewithal or the technology, right, to make it happen. And as it went up, society slowly got less intelligent as technology increased. And we see that today with the TikToks, Facebooks, Instagrams, all that. People are less intelligent now in a world where we have easily accessible knowledge than they were so many years ago, 50, 60 years ago. But I know the reason why. 50, 60 years ago, you didn't have the internet like you do now. You couldn't be in everybody's business. Oh, Coast, do you want to hear that? No. What are you doing, man? I'm here for this. I don't know what's going on. He's getting somebody. He's like, you go and get.
Excuse me. Troublemaking kitten.
Oh,
troublemaking kitten getting into places he's not supposed to go. So I had to jump out and get him quick.
I heard. I actually stopped talking because I heard you go, get out of there. And I was like, oh, we're going to wait till he comes
I was
back
trying
to
to be
us.
quiet, and I was like,
And then you're
"Oh."
like, I can't even put my headphones on right again.
I was holding the cat at the same time. So
It's fine. So, like I was saying, we have so many, like, social media is such a, I wouldn't say it's a powerful influence. It's not a good one, but it's a powerful influence. And we see that in the culture that we have now in our society where knowledge isn't praised, stupidity is. So if you have an illustrious amount of followers, or if you put your latest thing on the internet and it garners all these likes and these so stunning, so brave ideologies, humanity worships that. They worship that, and people love it. People will straight put themselves on these social media platforms, pictures, multiple pictures daily. We have influencers. Influencers should not
yeah,
be a thing.
it's an actual
You're
like it's
not
considered a
influencing
job these days. And
anything.
I'm like,
You're
are you
influencing
serious?
stupidity. You're influencing generations of kids who emulate your whole ideology. And they're like, well, you're hating because they're getting paid. No, I would rather get paid what I get paid than be paid millions to be a piece of trash human being, because
Tide Pods,
influencers are trash. And
Tide
if you
Pods.
follow influencers, you're not mentally equipped to think on your own. Is how I look at that, because it's facts. Like there's I was reading a study that they did on people who are on social media frequently, like all the time. That's all they do. They're on social media. And the way their dopamine centers work are shambles. Like they're not intelligent. They're not high functioning human beings. They're like right above. It was some form of like protoplasm type of things. Um, and that was and you see it. You know, people are so quick to rush out to post the latest thing they've seen on social media. I gotta post, I gotta post, I gotta post it. And I'm not saying I have not been guilty of this myself. I'm a hypocrite. I can admit that. I can admit that. However, I have taken steps to remove myself from that social media equation, because the one thing you're not going to do is change anybody's mind on social media. That's a fact. And number two, you're not going to get the likes and loves that you think you're going to get. That's it. You're not going to get the love you actually aspire to want, because it's fake love. And it talked about that in the study that I had read, that people that are on social media nonstop, continuously over a certain cycle, crave love and affection that they don't get, right? That they don't get in a normal setting. So, like, they might not get in that setting. So then they crave it elsewhere. And I mean, that's attention. I mean, we grew up in an era where a lot of times your parents just put you outside. They didn't give you that attention. So, yeah, it sucks. And the talk is the worst. I know this. I was guilty of this. But I think there's a way to do social media, and there's a way to not do it. If you're constantly worried about what is the latest thing, right? It's sad. But if you're using it respectfully, I don't want to say respectfully, but in a positive way. Like if you're sharing hilarious memes of cats, by all means, please do not stop doing that. The internet is built off of that commodity, and if it stops, the internet will collapse. Do not do that.
Now, the other thing too is that social media has helped a lot of other kind of, and I don't want to use this term in a way that makes it a political term, because people use it politically and it irritates me a ton. But a lot of marginalized groups, and I don't mean that again in a political way, I mean in like independent musicians or independent filmmakers or independent artists of all kinds, they did not have the opportunity to break into the mainstream. They didn't have the opportunity unless you got heard by a record executive or you got seen by somebody who ran a gallery or whatever. You never got anywhere, no matter how hard you worked. But with the internet, you've got like indie is an actual like
Yes.
genre that's huge right now.
Yes. And I found
And
some good stuff based off of that, you know.
indie is big, independent art, like all this other stuff. Like
But
it's
you get Johnny SoundCloud rapper, and
yeah,
that's
you do,
you get
you
when you
do.
get one, you get everybody that thinks they can be a musician, and it's not something that everybody can be.
But at least the opportunity is there
Facts.
now compared to what it was before, which was a huge gatekeeping kind of thing where
Right.
if you had to know somebody or you had to have something that somebody liked and then they had to push you and they had to invest in you. And if they didn't, then you went nowhere. So at least like, and so it goes two ways. It goes like people who shouldn't be famous are famous now,
Fact.
but people who have talent who never would have been famous before are now reaping the benefits. Not in every case. Like me, my music career basically crashed and burned. Like
You still had one.
I
You
had
still
one,
did it. You still
and
did it.
I'm getting royalties. I wouldn't
Who's
have gotten royalties before, but I'm getting royalties. I get like
who's
a
listen,
few bucks a
at
month,
least
maybe.
you did it though.
That's
Right?
true, and that's the difference. Under the old way with no internet, I would
On
have
the
had nothing.
on the old way, you'd had to quote unquote, I don't know if I said this, but sleep with someone, as the old terminology
Yeah,
goes,
basically.
to get your way to get ahead, even if you were famous.
Yeah.
And it's come out years later that that had happened.
Hmm.
All sorts of different locations and places that sort
Yeah.
of thing had happened. Um, like I said, it's a double edged sword
Yeah.
because on one hand,
There's
I'll jump to another point. It has allowed folks like our buddy Mosin to talk about what's going
yes.
on in Iran that he couldn't have talked about 50 years ago with state controlled media. And I mean,
Mhm.
even here in the United States, where the biggest media conglomerates pretty much own the same media, the same stories get put out, but at least with like social media aspects, the truth can get put out
Yeah.
because you know we have these big corporate media networks. They don't give you the truth. It's been proven. They
You
don't
got
give you the truth.
CNN, you got Fox, you got MSNBC, all
Yep.
these guys. And we covered a couple episodes about how they're deceiving you
100%.
about the news. But now you have so many options. Now you do have a bunch of garbage options as well. You have a lot of stuff that's basically like, oh, well, we heard that this was happening. So clearly it's the Illuminati frog people who are poisoning
Yes.
the water and they're sending their
Facts.
drones to disseminate bad information. And,
And
okay,
you're living in the
that's a bit
matrix, and the
much.
matrix has been hacked, and it's been firmwared and sharewared.
That's a
And
bit much. But at least you have the choice of sifting through all that
yes,
stuff and finding, like, if you compare everything and you can distill it down to, okay, this is the headline, take out all this, take out all these opinions, take out all
yes,
this. These are the facts. Who
yes,
was all reporting on this basic fact?
right,
Then you narrow down who's telling you possibly the truth.
yes. And it's funny, our buddy Wecos, he sent me a whole like, it was a Reddit of it was a video that somebody had found, and they had put together all the news outlets that had said the exact same phrasing, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just multiple news outlets. Like everyone was saying the exact same thing. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like your big corporate news entities because that's too much. It was like Channel 3 out of Dallas, Channel 8 out of Cleveland,
Yep.
Channel 3 out of Pittsburgh, Channel 4 out of Fort Worth. And they had pieced these all together. And I was like, it all makes sense.
They
It's
all get
all,
scripts from
yeah.
like the people up top. They're like, hey, this is what your anchors have to
Yes.
read about this topic.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And you don't seem to think that like all these people are going to be owned, but these networks are all owned
Yes.
by a very small handful of people. And
Like
then, I
five
mean,
or six people own all the networks in the
when I
United
say
States.
that, it starts sounding like an Illuminati thing where
But it
everything
isn't.
goes on. But it isn't because
It
it's
is
actually
not.
true. It's just monopolies and it's just business. And that's
That's
how
what it
business is. You look at the gaming industry, Microsoft is buying up everybody
Yeah.
like all over the place. It's
Yeah.
one person owning all this stuff, and PlayStation is mad. Sony is mad about it. Of course they are, because they want to own all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you own everything.
Yeah.
So you decide what everybody says. And that's
And
just how it is. It's not a conspiracy.
The whole idea of monopolies have gone by the way of the wayside because they'll find a loophole or a way to finagle in something where they're like, we'll just do this, create a shell company, right? And then it won't be a monopoly. It'll just
Mhm.
be you have a company that you do stuff with. But then what they'll do is down the line, they'll buy that company, right? And then boom, there you go. You have that. How did we get on this topic again? I got so confused as to
It's
what's
a
going
good rabbit
on.
hole. It's a good one.
It is.
Um,
We'll say that for another episode, actually, because I
the
am
thing
very
about it
wanting to get
too
on that though.
is it's not party affiliated either. Like some people say, oh, it's because of the
It's not.
Republicans or it's part of the Democrats. But it's funny because generally you look at historically, and I don't want to say this is true. I just want to say that
Oh,
it's
you're fine.
looked at this way. Historically, people look at the Republican conservative side as the big business. They're okay with monopolies and things, but it's the other side too that's been busted on these shell companies that you
Yes,
talk about
facts.
a bunch. There was a story not too long ago about the people who run the global Black Lives Matter campaign, and I don't want to say anything good or bad about that thing. That's
I
that's outside the
mean,
scope.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it to myself.
We don't do the hot buttons so much, but I'm going to
I will not.
say that people at the top of that got busted for running shell companies and buying $1 million mansions and saying, "Oh yeah, they're schools," but they're not. They're $1 million mansions. They hang out in and they live, and they're mad because oh no, it's not what you think, but that's what it is.
First of
And
all,
so
that Illuminati for All People article is not for you, so don't worry about that. That's for us. We got the hot scoop on the Illuminati frog people. You're not allowed to have it. So we'll direct you to a cooking
cite your
show.
sources, please. If you
My
don't have any
source.
sources, you can cite that it's not true.
I mean,
The problem with that was like I used to cite sources and people used to tell me that they were crap. And I'd
same.
be like, but it's a real
Did the
source.
same
It's
thing.
not like some fringe thing. It's like
Listen.
the Journal of Medicine from wherever. And it's
I
like,
used to, I
oh,
used
but
to,
whatever.
I used to say the two parties were the same, and then they would be like, "Well, prove it. They're not." I'm like, here are them hanging
Here's
out,
this, here's
shaking
this, here's this,
hands,
here's this.
being on vacation together, hanging out, but the picture's doctrinated. It's fake. I'm like, it's for Photoshop existed though. So how was we're talking like 1970s? They didn't have they had Photoshop back then. You're just so now I'm a conspiracy that I don't know. I can't win. You
That
can't win.
reminds me. That reminds
Can't
me
win.
of when people say, like, I've
Either
seen
way.
this meme a bunch of times, and it's a hilarious meme because it's really true. When people say, "Oh, the moon landing was CGI," and then I'm like, "Oh,
Stop.
CGI in
Please
that
stop. My
age,"
brain hurts. My
and
brain
it's
hurts.
like
Literally
you
hurts.
look at CGI from that time frame, and it's like the videos and stuff that you see is so bad. Like actual
That's
CGI from
terrible.
that area
No,
is
and
terrible.
and so what they go on to is they go on the whole idea of Stanley Kubrick directed it. I'm like, no. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm
Once
like,
again, other countries have been there and would tell us, "No,
facts.
you're full of crap." Like China's there right now. China has a rover there
Unless all
right
the
now.
countries are in it together, and it's just.
Global Illuminati conspiracy. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I'll
if that
have another drink.
here's the thing with that though, if that's the case, then the flat Earth theory sticks out, right? Makes me angry. It makes me angry I had to utter those words because I hate that thing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Like I would sooner believe that the hollow Earth theory has more traction, and once again, hollow Earth, not all the way hollow, but it's interesting that groups like countries all over the world have stake in Antarctica. Nazi Germany had it. You think they still existed? Just checking you. Russia has it. We have it. A bunch like the European Union has it. South America, like countries South America have it. It's like all why? What's the point? And they wouldn't let me down on my special day. I have. Well, let's see your citations then. If the moon landing happened on your
Share them
birthday,
links.
listen, my birthday was nothing happened because the world didn't exist yet. Yeah, that's right. Let that sink in.
Can we get a fact checker in here?
No.
Actually.
I took the fact checker out before they came. No, anyways, how did we this is Showing off the rails. Off the
We
rails.
didn't have a topic, so we might as well create one, and that's what we did. We just
Oh,
ran
there
with
you
it there.
guys go again, just creating topics with no sources to cite, no sources for your topics.
Those truckers are gonna be so mad at you.
In Canada.
Let's talk about your citations.
This is a running joke that you guys aren't privy to because it's very inside. Inside, like the Illuminati.
Implanted like a microchip in the back of your neck.
That's so for a long time I didn't buy into that, but I think that is very possible. When you read that there was a study, and I know you're like, where's your citation? But the government was kidnapping people and doing medical experiments on them. And everybody's like, the government would never. Tuskegee experiment. We gonna do that? You want to do that? We could do that. We could do that. We could play that game. I'm telling you, the government doesn't change.
Philadelphia experiment.
They just want you to think they've changed, that they're radically different. They're not.
You know, if they can put microchips on a regular basis,
saying the I word and FB, whatever. We'll just go to another platform.
If they can put microchips in your pets on a regular basis as an accepted thing, what makes you think they can't put a microchip into you?
I was told that the technology the government has that you see is 20 to 25 years behind what they truly have. And I believe this.
Well, the government had, especially the U.S. government, had a form of the internet long before it was public thing because they used it to coordinate their forces. Like, why wouldn't you? You have access to something that's global that you can set up a receiver here, receiver there, and you can basically just be in constant communication with a little bit of lag depending on, conditions. And that's true. It's not something that's like made up. It's not something I just pulled out of the air. They had a military version, encrypted version of the internet long before it was invented,
of course,
for public use. Because why wouldn't you?
You have to wonder if the Nazis invented it, though.
And that's true because they were pretty well advanced.
Over. I mean, all I got to say is Werner von Braun. That's it. Guy made the V2 rocket because they wanted to hit. So the V1 rocket could be heard. You would hear it before it struck. In Britain, it would hit. You hear the V1, the V2 couldn't hear it, and it would strike. So, and that's the thing. Werner von Braun was a straight up Nazi. He was a by the book Nazi. He wasn't just like some guy that's like, I don't know why they got me in here. I just saw the swastikas. I thought this was like a fun Indian party to celebrate.
Full of peace.
Full of peace and love and friendships. And just some guy that was mad. Maybe somebody stepped on his toe. I don't know why he was yelling. So I just worked for him, guys. No, this was a by-the-book Nazi partyman that if Nazi Germany would have won, he would still be in the Reich. But, and I saw somebody make the argument earlier because something similar was posted on the internets. Somebody said that if we wouldn't have got him, Soviet Union would have. Or you could have just, unalived them. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know? I don't know what I'm talking about. But the point is,
and I'm sure that was probably a plan that was a potential on the books because the United States has a lot of contingency plans for people in that position, even today, where if we're afraid things are going to go to another country we don't like, we got plans in place. It's not out of the ordinary. It's FBI and CIA.
Yes.
And I know whenever people say that, it's like, oh, you're talking tinfoil hats. But it's not. It's not. The United States government and most world governments, like in most developed countries, have these kind of plans because they don't want certain things getting into other where they're.
We have to remember that the U.S. darling FDR, his administration wouldn't let Jews into the country because we didn't perceive Nazi Germany to be as big of a threat as they were. And it wasn't until Pearl Harbor, and it was because of the Japanese, it wasn't because of the Nazi Germans, that we decided to jump into the war. That's it. We were like, man, we should probably look into this dude that's killing 6, however many you believe. if you're one of those weirdo Holocaust sympathizers,
Even Europe wasn't
or
going to mess with him.
what's the word I'm looking for? Holocaust
Deniers.
deniers. Thank you.
Even the rest of Europe
Yeah.
was going to be like, well, we're not going to worry about it because it's all
Yeah.
happening in their own country. They're beating up their own people. We don't care. Beat up your own people all you want. That's your country. But then he invaded Poland, and then Europe was like, oh, we can't let you do that.
Wait a minute.
Can't
now.
let you do
can
that.
kill as many Jews as you
In
want
your
in your
own
own
party,
country, but
You
don't
can't do it
dare
next door.
invade
No.
Yes.
And it's just like us. Like, we were staying completely out of it until somebody stepped on our toes. And I don't want to downgrade. Like, I don't want to make that sound like Pearl Harbor wasn't a big deal, because it was.
It was.
It was unfortunately a really big deal.
But we should have been in the war a lot sooner. That's all there was to it. And who knows? Maybe it would have come to an end a lot sooner. But
maybe. It's hard to say. I mean, there were a lot of bad decisions that let the Nazis really get out of control.
100% a big threat.
And then we made the terrible deal with the communists to help fight back, and then they got worse. Some of the atrocities under the communists under Stalin were worse.
Facts.
And we're still angry at Russia for it, which is really kind of nonsense. Like, I understand Russia is kind of bad right now.
Americans are weird when it comes to Russians, period. They have Americans have a weird, like,
we've put the screws to them for so long,
right,
that you would think eventually somebody would be like, okay, that was then. Let's have a talk. And maybe they wouldn't do these things like move into Ukraine or do whatever they do. Maybe they would be like, okay, let's talk. Because they're always on the defensive.
Bring them to the Global Economic Forum so we can all sit down and have these conversations.
Let's work this stuff out. Instead, we're always like, oh, you can't trust them Russians. And it's...
But remember, we were brainwashed to think that they were going to nuke us, and they were brainwashed to think we were going to nuke them.
That's right. And that's the problem. Like, all the citizens on both sides are looking at what their leaders are telling them, which is, it brings us around to where we started. It's all propaganda, basically. It's believing the people that you think, oh, these are the experts, when they're just people.
Right. But we have to remember, too, that we've done a little bit of invading ourselves.
Oh, yeah. The number of South American countries that we've destabilized just because.
Latin American and South American. Like, and the Latin American,
there was no reason.
It's funny how Latin American countries were destabilized and boats started showing off on Florida's docks with large amounts of cocaine on them. There it is, everyone. And then the crack cocaine epidemic happens in the 80s. There's been proof of the CIA under Bush Sr. Straight up, admitting we dropped crack cocaine into poor neighborhoods that were created by Lyndon Baines Johnson of the Urban Renewal Project, right? Then Bill Clinton comes, 3 strikes law, boom, boom, boom. You have a domino effect. And then what you do there is you're further displacing people, and then you're further also dividing people. The government comes in, acts like the great father of everyone, as the government likes to do, and boom. And then you just have a media that backs the government and doesn't back the citizens. The government becomes corporate, because look how many of our presidents, look how many politicians own stocks in places like Lockheed Martin. Look how they own stocks in places like Chrysler, Ford, Chevy,
big manufacturing centers,
big banks, Chase, JP Morgan Chase, who I hate with a passion. There's a reason for that. Banks like PNC, banking institutions as a whole, they own all of this. Nobody will sit there and call them out on it because they're paid. Nobody's like, and what they do is, what the government will do is they'll jump to the latest hot button topic. How do we know they're not causing it? Right? Because I don't know if you guys remember, but they found that, what was the guy's name? That he wasn't in any danger at all. What's his name? And during the Iraq War, they found out that he was never in any danger. He apologized for it on national air.
Oh, Bergthal.
No, not Bergthal. I don't know who that is.
He's the guy that they captured, didn't they? But he's like
Jennings.
Oh, Jennings. The reporter. I thought you were talking about that soldier that supposedly was like a deserter and he ran off.
Yeah.
and he was captured, but he wasn't captured, and
Yeah,
then
Jennings was like,
yeah,
we're under fire. The minute like that this stuff comes out, the less likely I'm gonna trust anything the government will ever have to say. And we live in such a society, and I think the quote unquote influencer generation is aiding in keeping our government in power instead
it's in the
of
name,
it's in the name
influencer.
influencer.
Like,
Music, you got to remember, like our generation's musicians, like the rock musicians, rap musicians, they didn't like politicians.
mm,
I don't ever remember a hip hop song that was like support politician A. They were like blank this politician and blank this politician.
90s into early 2000s, like
Yes.
rock and rap music was just like a big that finger, you know what it is,
You know what it
to
is.
the entire establishment of everything. But
And I miss it.
now you've got Rock the Vote, you've got all this other stuff. You're like, oh, we're gonna support this candidate because he's the best.
When
And it's
I
like,
when I saw rappers endorsing a certain individual, I immediately lost a copious amount of respect for hip hop as a whole, because rap is about saying F the establishment. That's what it's for. It is for that very thing. It's not so that this person can be like, the president is the great guy. No, I don't care who's in office. I don't care if he is a nice guy. I care if he is a great president. All rappers should be like, you know what? Blank this person. And you know what? That I loved rap then. I don't now. Soon as I started seeing all these rappers start going to rock the vote and doing all this, I just started listening to different music. Like I couldn't do it anymore because it's fake. You're fake. You're not what we were the generation that was supposed to tell you, don't trust these politicians. We're telling you this because we're warning you. We see what happened. We know what happens. But these musicians, especially like I can give like certain genres a pass. All right. If you never started that way, like even country music, I think for a long time was like, hey, knock it off. But now it's same thing. Like
country music used to be
the
more
other
like
side. It's on the other side of it. So
like
while rap and some rock is one side, country and some rock is on the other side. And it's like, but you're both awful. You are both terrible. You're both terrible.
it's funny because country music used to be a lot like rap. It used to be like it used to be outlaws. It used to be people like, oh, I went. It's like Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues, killed a man just to watch him die. It wasn't real. He didn't actually do that, but it was the song. It was the art. And that's how their art was. Like they would talk about like all this stuff. They would talk about being outlaws, and maybe they weren't in real life, but they at least were like, this is my philosophy. I'm going to do what I want because I'm a free person.
Yes.
And that's what it was. And they expressed that in the music. And now it's like modern country music is like modern rock music, which is like modern rap music, which is let's go to the club, let's party, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that, let's all together do this thing that everybody else is doing because it's a bunch of fun. And that's it. It's nothing to do with like
but the thing is there was
yourself or anything.
There was fun rap songs, right?
That's true. That's true. I mean, you could have a fun song,
but they had a message. They had a message. Now, like what really messed rap up bad was the designer drugs, the ecstasies and things like that created these weird, and we have to remember too that the generation where that started, right, was a direct generation from the crack cocaine era. So you've created these dependencies, right? So no, they're not going to say this, that, and the third because the father wasn't in the home, because that came in, that ruined everything. That broke apart rap because the government was afraid of it. The government was terrified. The government was afraid, like, wait a minute, we might lose our power here, And so then you have these bunch of let's party, let's do drugs, let's do this, which then created the mumble generation that we see currently, which then also created the drill rap scene, which they've been doing studies on what drill rap music does to the brain and they're finding out that it's a more violent prone rap with zero message. There's no message behind it. It's kill your boy, kill little boy when you see him. And you got these rappers going on tapes and CDs. I'd say tapes. I'm a grandfather. CDs,
Get my
albums,
old 8-tracks
MP3s,
out.
whatever, and talk about killing each other. I killed my op. You're an idiot. Now you've said it on tape, but it's fine because the government got you to do what you were supposed to do. You're going to jail. The prison population, which a lot of people don't care to study, continues to rise. And they get like in Ohio, you get like 30,000 an inmate. It's lucrative money. And then when you find out these politicians, both in the red and in the blue, own stock in private prisons.
It's funny because they'll introduce a bill to like, oh, we got to get rid of private prisons. But in some states, sure, it'll fly. But in other states, it won't, because nationally, it won't go away because there's too much money in it. Just like anything else. It's all comes down to too much money in it.
And there's a lot of money in private prisons. But that's, I think that goes over a lot of people's heads.
I mean, the funny thing is we have so many private things that now we pay for, like ambulance drivers. They're not the hospitals. Like the hospitals are all corporations.
Yes.
But then they subcontract to ambulance companies.
Yes.
That own their own ambulance fleets.
Yes.
And if they don't get the funding, then you don't get the care that you need and you don't get the training you need. And then somebody doesn't make it to the hospital if they get picked up in an ambulance. And it's really sad. It's not like healthcare is a perfect example.
Oh boy.
Of the way that this whole privatization has happened. And I could go on for like 4 more shows about it, but I won't. I won't.
Healthcare is a perfect example of what happens.
Like, it's terrible. It's really sad.
Healthcare itself is some of the worst.
The money that people get for these shots that are out right now, again, not to be controversial, not to get like into anything, but there's a lot of money tied up into that kind of thing.
There's a lot of money tied into that virus. Some deep, a lot of money pockets.
Nobody's losing money on it except the people who got shut down.
Yeah,
and that's all.
And you notice all the mom and pop stores, the places that really were making it, right? And you can say whatever you want about the previous administration, whatever, what have you, right? But things were doing good for that point up until that virus hit and everything got shut down. Now all of a sudden the mom and pop stores don't exist. Now these corporations exist. And you're like, well, maybe it was the previous administration that helped kind of push that so that they own stock in these corporations. Maybe so-and-so owns some stock in Walmart and or Target. Push the mom and pop stores out. Don't let your local grocer, right? And West Virginia just had this with Kroger. There's one of theirs in a local community was getting ready to shut down. And the people said, no, that ain't gonna happen. And because they have a Walmart there too. And you have to wonder, because you notice those got shut down, right? But the Walmarts and the Targets, those sure as heck stayed open. That's funny how that works.
And meanwhile, the inflation keeps going up despite all the extra money that they made, because nobody was buying from the smaller places. They were only able to buy from the big places. And here goes the inflation still climbing through the roof.
And then we have the gas prices. They went nuts, which they love to bring. I think his screen froze. This is the perfect screenshot that I didn't think I needed, but I need that. I'm going to take a picture of it because he looked like he gone. He gone off that. It's 11 o'clock too, so he gone off that water. He gone. I'm gonna take a picture. Oh, I got that shit. And it's sad, really, because at the end of the day, it wasn't a good thing when all these got shut down. I knew a lot of places that barely bounced back. Come along and ride on a fantastic fly. He in the club. He gone. He gone. Look at him. He gone. I don't know if he gonna come back.
Yeah, the thing shut down again.
I got the best picture of you I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna send it to you. But really, like we said, once that happened, once because a lot of stores didn't make it. If you didn't have the backing, you weren't gonna make it. We
Yep.
seen a lot of restaurants come and go. We seen a lot of like just places me and my co-host frequented go. And pre-viral outbreak, which you have to kind of wonder how much of that was planned. How much of that was a pandemic over a pandemic? I'm not going to go too conspiratorial, but it's very interesting when you realize a lot of these politicians have stock in these bigger corporations. Like the stocks that they have in that, it's kind of crazy too, because you got to wonder too how many had stock in GM when they got bailed out. And these automotive industries got straight bailed out. Who had stock in those? There's always that continuing vehicle of the corporation drives the government officers to the White House or to their state house, as it were.
Yep. Well, since my laptop shut down again.
That's because you was raving. He was going
Probably.
in.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this picture. It's hilarious.
I guess it's like it's what? It's 11 o'clock now, isn't it? So I guess it's time to be done, huh?
I mean, we still got 3 minutes.
3 minutes, do we?
What are we looking forward to in the new year? What is something you're looking forward to doing for the show, for the network? What are you looking to do?
Well, I think we've got a lot of ideas. Like, we're gonna do a pretty big episode of the Spirits Club where we're gonna be reviewing pub food versus bar food, which doesn't sound like it'd be different, but it would be, and it's gonna be tasty, and we're gonna fill our bellies with some
listen,
tasty foods.
Here's the thing. I think what we're gonna do is say, hey, we're coming in. What's up? And I guarantee they'll serve us the best.
Yeah.
They'll serve us the best. 100%.
Because we're going to give props to every local place we go to. We're going to be going to local places here in Ohio.
Local places.
I'm going to make some things ahead of time and take them over. Because I don't think we have a lot of like actual like pubs and things. We might have. We've got some things up here in Canton, like in North Canton.
Like what kind of pub? Do you want like an English pub? Like what you want?
Well, yeah, it'd be like an English and Irish pub kind of food, like meat pies and things.
Like Bennigan's?
Yeah, let's do that. But
Bennigan's doesn't even exist anymore. That used to be a thing.
It might.
I was big into Bennigan's.
We'll see what we can do, but we got that. We got like the show itself is going to continue to grow, right? We got the trips. We got a lot of trips.
But you guys have to help us grow it. We need your support. We need your $600 donations to get your free tote bag.
And you need to pay for that $13,000 banner for that festival.
And we'll send you DVDs of us. DVDs. You don't get Blu-rays. Knock it off for your $1,000 a month membership. That's right. $1,000 a month. We'll send you DVDs that I burned off of my old 2013 PC desktop. You guys should be so lucky as to let us into your homes. But if you want to join the Patreon, please do. If you get a chance, patreon.com/ThisUncannyEarth. That's still going. We are still come to California. That's what Elizabeth Wittenberry has.
We're trying to plan some kind of a trip to the West Coast because we got to hit up. We got to hit up our buddy Reservoir. We got to hit up him.
I thought he was just about to make up a random name. We got to hit up our buddy Jeff.
Dingle dangle jonga jog. So he's out that ways in Washington State. We got to hit there.
Go Craig
we got to go all the way out that way. So it's in the cards. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the year after, but we're going to be focusing on trying to do trips like that to get out to everybody. So, but yeah, keep an eye out. We got big things coming.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm still thinking of this picture in my head. It's living in my head rent free because you actually look happy. It's amazing. Also, I'll be streaming Stranger of Paradise. Your boy got a copy. I'll be streaming that tomorrow night for the New Year's Eve stream. Go, please watch, do, and like it. It's great. You should like all of it. And you should watch all 32 hours of my DVD backpacking through Ohio. And I will send you 16 DVDs for your membership of $1,000 a month. I'm 100%. I 100% think PBS is a shill for some money laundering scheme that some broke Italian man might be doing to garner money. I don't know. Maybe somebody of the ravioli variety, but that's not the question.
It's a Mike Kornacki business venture.
Why is it in a pyramid? Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about that, kids. No, but we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be doing some. I have the. I believe I have all of the AVIs or whatever MPEGs that I needed for our two video documentaries that we have done. I want to get some more footage, so I think when he comes up in 2 weeks, I think we're going to head out to, because what I want to do is with one of them, I want to get a summer video and I want to get a winter video, because I want you guys to really see the two comparisons and how in the summertime it looks crazy full. Like it looks kind of terrifying actually, but in the wintertime, it just looks like somebody's backyard. It's not as big as somebody would think. But you're gonna hear about that. You're gonna hear about the time when me and my co-host thought something was watching us. I don't deny this. I still think something was watching us. There was just so much going on that day with the stacked rocks, with the Wiccan rituals. It was just, there was too much going on for it to be just regular stuff. Listen, this one, I paid for the $600 subscription. All I got was this rock. Well, that's because there were no more tote bags left, Leah. I'm looking forward to me seeing you guys in person. We are also, I think, so Spirits Club 50. That'll be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from, well, actually, about a week and a half from last Thursday.
Yeah, give or take.
We're gonna be drinking moonshine.
Yeah. And maybe moonshine that turned into bourbon if the experiment is a success.
Bourbon shine. You know how your boy gets. I'm just wilding. I'm not gonna be able to have many drinks. At all. Maybe one. I don't want to get stinky because that happens.
No, I mean, this one's going to be more of a tasting in comparison between the two.
But, I'm going to taste the heck out of it.
It may be delicious. Who knows?
It may be trash. No offense.
It could be. Could be.
That one thing you made was...
Oh, the Venusian? Yeah, that was pretty awful. That was pretty awful.
That was a thing.
Nobody should ever try that.
No. I'm surprised we did. Oh, your computer restarted.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting it back up in the background. Not that I'm going to use it for the rest of the show, but you know.
You want to make sure it works. I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. It's running too hot. You should make sure your fans are running, or make sure your heat sinks are operating at optimal value. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I got to send you this picture, though. Anyways, have a happy new year, guys. For those of you tuning into my stream tomorrow night, I will be there ready to rock through this stream tomorrow. Streaming a new game, guys. You guys got to come through, guys. Come on, guys.
Actually, it might not be that new, but it was released in 2021. Just kidding.
I hate you. I hate you.
Get in line.
Yeah, I'm at the head of it, you son of a... Well, we'll be right back with more messages.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Let's all go to the lobby. That movie was terrible. Anyways, guys, we hope you have a happy new year. Stick with us in 2023. And we're finally able to start rocking and rolling all week long. So yes, stick with us 2023. It took us a while to get back to this spot where we're at now. So just bear with us. We got some great stuff coming. We got content coming. January drops the first of our expeditions. So please stick with us. It's going to be great. Thank you to both Leah and Elizabeth for joining us tonight for this madness, this Spartanian. Is that Spartanian a word? I don't think it is, but I'm using it.
Spartanian.
Spartanian. I don't know. Anyways, everyone, as always, why be boring when you can be uncanny? We will see you folks in 2023. See you guys next year.
Bye.